Welcome back to another episode of Net Talk. I'm Alex.
I'm Mitch.
And we're back another week. And end of the year, getting close.
It is getting close. It's almost time to do some Christmas shopping.
No, I'll put that off, hopefully. And
Black Friday is the perfect time to do Christmas shopping, Alex.
it's too hard. I get overwhelmed by all the deals of junk that I don't even probably need in the first place.
Yeah.
Although not that I'm buying presents for myself, but that's probably what it turns into when I go shopping.
Yeah, I can imagine you would just go and be trigger happy and be like, oh, I love this. Oh, this is great. As usual, Slay and Shame.
Slay and Shame.
Yeah.
You can start us off. Anything good happen in the week? Or bad?
Bad. I feel like I just always result to talking about my work in the bad or the good. I won't talk about it for the good, but I'll talk about it for the bad. Just a lot of revisions at the moment for this particular project I'm working on. And it's like, it went from being very like electronic, almost dance music. And now they're like, nah, we actually want like original cinematic music. And it's like, I got to go all the way back to the start. Okay, I'm just going to raise my fees a bit. That's my shame. My slay, a certain player of mine had huge progress last night at training. She hit probably,
Across one training.
Yeah. She hit probably the largest slide bounce I think I've ever seen in my life in person. It was very impressive. She knows who she is. She doesn't listen, I don't think, but that's okay. People will know.
People will know.
Yeah. What's your slay and shame, Alex?
My shame can be Melbourne Beach Volleyball again, getting cancelled 2 weeks in a row. The rescheduled round.
Beach volleyball just isn't it, man.
Yeah, they postponed the rain with the round.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually turned out to be an all right day later on. We even, me and my beach volleyball partner thought about going into the beach and just having a hit for training's sake.
Yeah.
But still a little cold.
I'm trying to think about what the weather was. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday. It was just storming in the morning.
Yeah.
It was meant to rain across the whole day, which is why they postponed it because no one wants to play. You can handle a little bit of rain. I actually like playing in the rain. Nice overcast day, low UV.
The sand's harder. You can jump higher.
Yeah, low UV. Yeah. And then, but it was raining for 6 hours.
Yeah. No one wants that.
No one wants that. What's my slay? My slay for the week. I'm talking about basketball for 2 seconds because I love basketball media.
I'm tuning out.
It's so funny. You're going to get up a stopwatch and time me.
Time is right there.
Damn it.
Quick.
One of the teams, usually really good, gets to finals, Philadelphia 76ers. They suck. They're really bad this year.
Okay.
Their rookie's really good. He makes a lot of TikToks. People make fun of him on the internet, but I think they're cool. But there was a lot of NBA players have started podcasts, but I'm like, who wants to listen to a podcast from two athletes talking about their sport? That'd be pretty cool. Dumb.
Yeah.
But
no comment.
Paul George, pretty good player back in the day, kind of washed now, getting to the end of his career. But there was a player meeting leak about
I did
two
hear
players
about
talking
this.
to each other and their star who's been a bit injured.
Are you saying that's going to be us?
Hasn't been buying in, but it's so funny. I'm going to say that the fact that he clickbaited, but his next podcast episode was things going wrong in the Sixers camp, player only leaks. As soon as we lose a game round one of State League,
clickbaiting like that.
And we're going to have a player only meeting and
Renegades implode.
Everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
We're 0-1. No.
But it'll be against like Heidelberg and we'll be like, jokes. We're fine.
Fair enough. We lose to them every
Certainly do.
What are we doing today?
No. Oh, yeah. We're going to do our updates. National and local scene. There's nothing really. There was the Good Neighbour tournament, which is arguably the best tournament in Australia. Or at least it used to be. I haven't been in a number of years.
Yeah, not many Victorian teams went.
The last time, no. Yeah, there was like two, like Monash and the Heidelberg guys.
Yeah.
And they, no surprise, they won. Good on them again. I'm really sick of talking about them winning. We're going to have to put a team together and upset them. You already spoke about the beach volleyball hasn't really been existing because it's just always cancelled. Is there a round this weekend or no?
Yeah, there is, but now it's just round 4. We did round 3, we did round 3.5.
Yeah, and now it's just yeah, Al's just
the weather actually looks nice. I'm going to jinx it right now. It looks
Yeah,
nice.
everyone's going to blame you on the podcast
Yeah.
if it does. We'll jump right into the league updates. We're gonna go through way faster today.
Not many changes to the ladders, so you can kind of expect the same teams to be there at the top of the ladders. Same teams are in relegation in the Plus Liga.
Yeah, the Polish league men's, it's the same top 4. Of note, Zaxa climbing the ranks again. Zaxa back in true form, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
I'm a big Zaxa guy, so I would like to see them up. For the women's, it's the Million Lodges that are in the top. So they all just sound the same. Not a lot changed there.
In the Japanese league, the SV league, there is a bit of news that is interesting as well. Top of the men's side is Osaka Blue Tion, led by French coach
Lauren
Tilly, who coached the French team to their gold medal at the Olympics and is now announced to be the Japanese national men's coach for the 2028 cycle.
And I mentioned off air that the Japanese love their French coaches. He's a good French coach. Their previous coach, Philip Blaine, I believe he's French. Pretty sure he's French.
Probably.
The name certainly sounds French.
Does it? Philip
Blaine.
Blaine.
The spelling of Philip, I think, is it's
Wrong.
very French. I don't know. Yeah. Continue though.
And then, similar teams, Stings, Aichi Stings and the Nagoya Wolf Dogs, Suntory Sunbirds. That's still the same top 4 as a week ago. And then on the women's side, Saitama Agio and the Denso Airy Bees and Osaka Marvelous, which still translates funny on the app. And I actually should have shamed myself for last week for saying, no one actually called me out on it, but when we were talking about the Japanese translation, I called it katakana. But that's actually the characters they use for foreign words. But it's hiragana, which is their normal.
They're like
characters, they're normal.
Like local characters. Yeah. Okay.
And kanji, which is like more of the one letter represents 3 words. It's more of like their picturesque, complex things. And I believe that it's a couple kanji that is in that.
Okay.
I haven't done Japanese since high school and I don't remember a whole lot of that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Don't take me to Japan.
Nah, I won't. Are you going to do the Italian league or shall I?
You can run through it.
I need to get to the links up now.
Damn it. I've got it. The women's side is the exact same. Who would have guessed?
The men's side is also the exact same.
Yeah. Just of note, the Caneliano is still undefeated, I believe.
Also, Perugia on the men's side is still undefeated.
Yeah.
I don't expect that will change, if I'm completely honest. For the men's Champions League, the pools are pretty much the same. Essentially, you've got I'm not going to go through them, but in each pool, the top 2 are undefeated. I'll lie. In Pool C, there's 2 teams on one win and 1 loss, but in every other pool, they are basically top 2 are undefeated, yet to play each other. Bottom 2 are both.
Which is usually how it goes.
Yeah, and that sort of thing. And similar story for the women's. Again, not going to go through it because that is we took too long last time. All right.
Yeah.
But what is today's topic, Alex?
Today we are looking at, we mentioned it a little bit last week, from the perspective of a player.
Yep.
This week we're going to look at trials and the trial process from the side of a coach, what you should be doing as preparation, because a lot of people are coaches or it's a very good thing to do, even as a player, to help out. We've had a few players help out at trainings and whatnot, just to learn how to evaluate other players, learn how to evaluate team structure and whatnot. It's a good skill.
I think it's valuable as well for players that listen to this to understand both sides of trial process, because it's like there can be lacking some empathy for coaches having to make hard decisions, because it is it's really difficult. And I myself, and you obviously as well as a coach, can get quite anxious about having those conversations with players. Like, no one's actively going to go and, no one signs up to coach to actively go and upset players, but genuinely when you have to cut players from a team, that's what you're doing. It can be quite difficult.
Also, when you're involved in a trial, understanding the planning behind a coach trying to run a drill that, yes, might not be that fun or might not run very smoothly because there's so many people from different backgrounds. Yeah. But it's like sometimes it's necessary.
Also, as a player, and this is important too, is how smooth trials run is probably a good reflection of the coaching quality in terms of like where you fit, because genuinely there is a lot of preparation that goes into trials, and it's very clear, cut and dry. Me as an athlete, I've been to many trials over the years, and so have you, and I've run a lot of trials over the years, and I've run some pretty bad ones. It's pretty clear. So like, we want to give some advice for coaches on how to run a good trial, how to make a good first impression as a coach, and start on the right foot. And
learning from my experience, my trials last year were not very good. I was a bit underprepared
Wow.
in terms of the numbers that were coming to a new program, and I didn't really have much help because that's our first little thing of what to arrange before balls start flying. My biggest op point that I think is noticed, even though our club has only run one trial so far, 1 week of trials. Is have help. More coaches, more better is what I wrote down. Because it does just help having someone else to run a drill or insert themselves, so a head coach can watch and note down plays to look at closer, to think about what to change for upcoming drills if you want to analyze people's passing, defensive movement or whatnot.
And as you said, you can ask players, like high-level players within your club. For example, I ran a women's trial on Monday. I asked you to come and help out. You're a relatively high player in the club.
Yeah. Glowing review.
Yeah.
And I downballed 300 balls for you, just standing on the court while you could wander around.
It meant that I could save my shoulder for our trial the next day and look way better than you. Yeah. Which I still didn't manage to do. But anyway. Side note, it's funny, we're actually trialing for the same position this year. But it's fine. I can't block. It's fine. But yeah, so with I just added here, like with having lots of coaches and other athletes help you out within your trials, it's really important to have role clarity. The last thing you want at a trial is too many cooks in the kitchen. The last thing you want in a trial is for the head coach to give a drill and for a bunch of other coaches to start adapting and changing and chopping, and it's just, it doesn't flow and it doesn't look good for the athletes when they just start a drill and then someone else is making changes, and it's just like, even if you maybe don't agree with the drill or what, just have role clarity within, like, I gave you a specific task of, I want you to look tactically at all these players. I want you to give me good evaluations on players making decisions without technical, without culture, without anything else. I just want you to tell me, does the player make good decisions? And then I gave someone else, and this is something I haven't done before. This is something that's new to me, but I think it went really well. Like I wouldn't ever not do it now that I know how smooth it went, knowing that I had people I could rely on to give me information like, oh, is that player making good decisions when they attack out a system? And you could be like, yes, no, maybe there needs a bit of work.
As an assistant coach on that, because I've been involved in some state team trials as well as a coach, like assistanting and just trying to help evaluate players. As an assistant or someone making evaluations, don't make them up and make like snap judgments. If actually after that you asked for my report and I haven't sent it through to you, because I only really got to properly evaluate a few players, which is why there's so many weeks.
You did downball
I did jump into the drill. But then it's like looking at tactical decision making. It's a trial. Yeah, I could see that said I set a back A when they were on the other side of the court and absolutely launched it. I'm not going to put a big red X next to that player. I'm just going to go, that they set the hardest option one time. But then that's the reason why like so many clubs want to have as many weeks of trials as possible, is because you don't get to see enough of players there and there. So you shouldn't really be making cuts after one training session anyway. But try and evaluate players based on what you're actually seeing, not what you think from what you saw from last season and what you
if you have to guess or you have to make assumptions, don't. Like just be active in collecting more. We'll talk about data collection later because it's a whole topic. But plan the trial. Get as much help as you possibly can. Don't have too many cooks in the kitchen. Establish, and you know what? If you I had a couple of coaches purely there to just run admin and to and this is
write numbers on legs.
Write numbers on legs. So if we didn't know their names, we could at least sort of identify players.
To put everyone on an even playing field. Exactly. Now it's not, I know this person because they've been at the club for 4 years and I know their name. It's everyone's a number. Remove a bit of the humanity of cutting people. It's like we're just evaluating you based on everyone around you.
Well, it is a genuine thing as well because I can tell you with experience that I had this conversation with another coach that came to me on Monday, And I was like, oh, what do you think of this player? And they were like, oh, yeah, this, that. And I was like, he said something that I was just like he said something about hitting, but I was asking about a setter. So I was kind of like, we're not talking about the same player. I was like, what number are we, what number player are you talking about? He's like, oh, 57. And I was like, oh, I was talking about like 45. And then we were like, oh, so that's not her name. And I was like, no. So that's why numbers is important because it's like, it's good. Yeah, we want to learn everyone's names. But when there's 55 people at one training and you've only met like 15 of them, it's difficult. Any more trial prep? Obviously, within a club admin point of view, you want to do expressions of interest. You want to do trial rego. We do payments so that it's a bit of an investment and it's sort of...
Yeah, first time the club's done payment to try and
I think
get a bit more buy-in, but you are still getting value out of it in terms of training. Like it's still
it comes out of your fees as well. Yeah. And you're getting 6...
If you don't get selected, it's still you're paying for training environment, which is still all right.
6 good quality... Well, now there's 8 because we've extended our trials.
Yeah.
8 good quality sessions.
As a coach that had jumped into a new division last year and tried, like it was hard to know the space available. I think on our first trial, we actually had too many courts available for juniors last year. Like I just didn't have the players show up for the first trial because no one really knew what to expect. Yeah. And then it was sort of like jumbling numbers and whatnot, trying to see everyone. So it's tough a little bit there. You've just got to really be prepped to spread out or condense on a dime.
Well, that leads into the next topic about running a good trial. Drill selection. This is my favorite. I love designing drills. I love making. That's the same. I take a lot of pride and joy in making really, really good drills.
And I like stealing those drills a week later and running them myself.
And then taking all the credit. And so does Adam. Yeah. Anyways, because funny enough, for the men's trial, I was in the men's trial myself the day after, and I was like, this feels familiar. And Adam would look at me and grin.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, it's good. I really enjoy it. But there's a specific type of drill that you need to run at trials, and it is as far away from singular focus as possible. It must be multifaceted in every sense of the like. In my head, and maybe some coaches would disagree with this, but in my head, a trial is for you. You are genuinely seeing how good the player is for games. That's what at a club sense we're picking players to play games and to go and win and to create environments and all that sort of thing. So anything as close to a game as possible. Yes, we need to evaluate certain skills, and I'll get into like some drill selection stuff on how you can manage that and in what scenarios it works. But as you said, knowing the space, a lot of clubs will only have one court for a couple of teams to trial. You got to design drills where players are going to be moving fast. You can't really be having 30 to 40 players on one court and you're doing like let's say, for example, like a butterfly drill. That just won't be that. A butterfly drill is actually not that bad as long as it's moving fast. But you can't be doing like a serve receive where the passer gets like 3 or 4 balls and then they rotate. Like you have to be doing like it. It's annoying. It's like a one touch and go type of thing. But
I counteract that sometimes. Players are new to the environment, and a little time you've got to see if people can establish rhythm quickly. So like we were doing a drill when I was hitting 1 million down balls. I'm going to keep increasing that number. I was just downballing libros, and we had like a libero was passing a ball, swapping with the libero behind him. Like it was only 2 liberos going back and forth. I was like, this is good. Stressing them out a bit too much. So then I was like, all right, you get to pass 2 balls as a libero before you swap with the person behind you. Just so you get the first one to set your feet and see how you go like that. And then you're already there moving, like settled in a bit. So then you're evaluating after they settle.
Do they go back to their base position?
Or how fast do they settle in? Same as then for the middles in that drill, they were hitting 3 balls in repetition rather than hitting one and swapping with another middle. Can they land and transition quickly again? Can they hit a good angle off a worse set after now having gone for 3 balls? Like sort of evaluating longer picture of image, like longer
periods of time. Like I will say that we were able to do that because we had access to 2 courts for one trial, right? So what I did is I was sort of like, all right, in terms of the two most important game factors, middles and setters activation and serving and receiving. So I had one court dedicated to serving and receiving, and I had one court dedicated to middle activation, which is why you got to hit 2 million.
Yeah, keep increasing it for me too. Yeah.
But that was something that we had the luxury of, and I thought it worked really well. I heard a lot of good feedback from the players that attended that like that moved fairly smoothly. I do agree with your point that yes, you do want to design drills that move quickly to some degree, but you want to be able to evaluate players. You've still got to keep the drills fairly basic though, because there is an element of there's a lot of new players, and I actually noticed at our trial there was a lot of international players. So there can be language barriers and there can be culture barriers of, there was a few players that had never done the drills we've done before that are like butterfly, which is such a bread and butter drill for Australians.
You kind of hope that you have enough holdover from the year before where people, when you say, oh, we're going to do this drill, everyone raises their hand and leads it. Although I do remember you said a name of a drill or something. You just called it, when it was the blocking, setting and blocking, and everyone was like, yeah, I know what setting and blocking is. And you're like, nah, the setting and blocking drill that we do. And everyone's like, what? even the regular players that did it a week earlier in off season. It's fun.
I was visibly disappointed when I looked at the 15 players that have been training with me for 12 weeks and that know what that drill is. They all looked at me like, what drill is that? I was like, are you serious right now?
I mean, I was your assistant coach and I went, setting and blocking.
Yeah, we need genuinely, we need a name for it because I don't know what the name is for that. We need to make up a name for that drill. But my advice for trials in general, and we did this on Monday and on Tuesday, and we're going to be doing it tonight as well for our trial. Spoiler, we're actually recording on Thursday for once. Get into games as fast as possible because that is what you are evaluating. People in game scenarios. We actually use 3-on-3 and mini games to emotionally engage players in a competitive sense before, as a warm-up as well. So you can do that. We also get into 6-on-6 as fast as possible because you want to see players play in their positions and you want to see them react in a full 6-on-6 environment.
And react to who's around them.
Or
do they
who
need to
works
take
well
more
with
responsibility?
others?
Can they take more responsibility?
Who's a leader?
Can they take less?
Yeah, like it's something that I genuinely look at regularly as players that work well together. Maybe a hot take, maybe not. I will always prioritize a player that are less technically skilled, not by much. It's not a big difference. But if they work better with other people, I'm going to go with them. Because they're easy to work with. They're more of a teammate. It's a team environment. It's not tennis. Like it's,
As a player, if you're listening to this, listen to what a coach is saying about selections. Because then, like I had that when I was a junior, thinking about, who this coach is, the team he took the year prior. That's the sort of the marks and things I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
So I will be loud and annoying at trainings and talk loud and push people a little bit because I know this coach likes it when players are like, get in line, let's go. And I'm like.
And there's like, we said it, we said it in our athletes trials advice video that like, don't warp yourself in the image of the coach. But in saying that, like, you do need to be able to have a lot of skills in volleyball. And if a coach wants you to have, like, for example.
You need to be able to mold yourself to a team.
Yeah. And like tonight, my focus is going to be, I want to see the best defensive players. And that's what I'm going to look for tonight. Well, you need to be able to defend to play volleyball. So like, show that. Like put in the genuine effort. And because if you want to get better and you want to progress, the coach is giving you a goal, like go after it. That's anything else on drill selection and you've got give time to settle. And I do like that. I think that's a really good point. And that's good. That was good feedback for me on that specific drill where the middles were just hitting and you were hitting a trillion balls.
Trillion.
What's after a trillion?
Don't know. Those numbers get too big.
Squillion?
Google.
Pentillion?
I know let's just jump to 100 zeros. A Google of balls.
I know there's like quintillion as well. But that's like ridiculous. Anyways.
My shoulder would fall off at 20. So.
Yeah. My next point, because this is again my baby, but we'll talk about this briefly, data collection. So this is important, but there's a very specific way that I think people should do it. And over the years of my high performance pathway, your high performance pathway, and advice we've been given down to us by much more experienced coaches. And then I've had, probably 6-7 years to try different things. And I've finally landed on something that I really like and I think is really valuable, is having a sort of private spreadsheet you as the head coach can have access to that has a list of all the players you're evaluating, and to essentially give them whatever scale you want to give them, or whatever, you can use words, you can use excellent to poor, you can use 0 to 10, like whatever you want to use. But I think it's important to have multiple categories that aren't just straight up skill based.
Yeah. We've had that conversation of that, like I've seen it before and always think of it as sort of a negative when you do reception 1 to 5, attacking 1 to 5, setting 1 to 5. Cause it's like, this player passes at a 3, but maybe they actually move well around. Like, it's just like, you need a bit more of a in-depth image when you're actually evaluating real people.
And I think it's important that you want to take into consideration character, like a player's personality. You want to take into consideration a player's ceiling. How high can this player progress?
Is their coachability?
Like are we looking at a 5'3" setter, or are we looking at a 6'2" pass hitter? Like I'm talking about women's specifically. Like if I had a 6'2" junior pass hitter, their ceiling is going to be very, very high. Like versus a 5'1" setter. Like, not as high, but still high. But it's just like, how do we sort of contribute that to an overall score of a player? Again, like keep it to yourself as a head coach. But I delegated. I have on my spreadsheet, which was given to me. Well, the idea was inspired by another really talented coach, which one day we'll get on the podcast. Is a good friend of the show. I've had this sort of idea in my head about like the different categories, but he showed me a really interesting way of combining them and essentially you can weight the categories however you like in this spreadsheet, give them a score from 1 to 10 based on the level that you are evaluating or you're case managing for academies and stuff. So for example, right now I'm taking Premier Team. So it's about my technical and tactical categories are weighted quite high compared to my capability, because capability is your sort of ceiling, your
you
potential.
Kind of want to already be there.
We're already quite a high level already. But and it contributes that, as opposed to a traditional sense of just looking at how well do they pass, how well do they set, how well do they hit, how well do they block, how well do they serve, because middle blockers will traditionally score high in 2 or 5. Yeah. So that is quite unfair to them. Liberos will only score well in 1 or 2. Whereas at least in the method that I'm trying out right now, and I've been fairly happy with it. Obviously trials is not over, so I'm still trialing and erroring. Yeah. And I've had some feedback from some other coaches about like, you should consider this as well. And that, and it's good. It's a good way to get an overall picture, I think.
You've got to also still, like, a thing with the getting help and having people there, having multiple perspectives means you don't get funneled into your box of, this is what my dream team is, so I'm only really looking at this sort of side of things, versus having someone else there that might run very different trials themselves, different drills, different team environment, maybe has a different game plan, helps a lot into getting a bigger picture thing. Yeah. Like, having someone that might run a slower team and you run a faster team, and then being this player might just need another week of trials to get used to this setting ball, or I actually really like how they transition on that back A. You should teach a setter to pick up the tempo a bit more. Like, that's probably, you noted that down as a fault on the hitter for their timing, but maybe noted down as a fault on the setter for not
for the
matching
tempo of whatever. No, that's a good point. Like, at the end of the day, you need to know what you want, and you need to convey that to whoever's helping you. Yeah. But you also need to be really open-minded. Yeah. Like, I know you and some other gave me some really good information on some other players that I was like, I didn't really think about it like that, or I didn't think about that player in this setting. Like, for example, there was a really, really technically good setter that was, maybe not, from a different culture, like international student that maybe didn't. So it's like, we sort of had the conversation of like, if we teach that player our systems, do they look as good or do they look better? Because right now they don't look as good because from their country they play really, really high and slow, and it's kind of like, let's.
So see how they coach over the next 2 weeks slash start of next year.
Yeah.
And if they don't have any change over 4 weeks.
Well, then you've got your decision, right?
Yeah.
But those are, on first glance, you would look at that player and sort of go, yeah, not for me. I don't really want moon balls.
Yeah.
But when you sort of really look at it and like you sort of said she's from another country. This is her hands are really good and she always gets to the ball really well and she moves really well. So maybe let's give her some more things to.
And don't get burned. Keep it attainable. I remember in a junior team, like another player getting picked and remember being like, the coach goes, he'll be so good in 6 weeks. We've got 6 weeks of invested training before the state team. And it's like,
terrible.
No, I mean, he was still pretty all right. He's real good now. But it's just like tough of like, you can have all these aspirations. Don't put them falsely on other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Data collection is important. It's not everything though. Same as stats. Stats is not everything. It's not the whole picture, but it's a very useful tool when utilized correctly.
Yeah.
It's a very detrimental tool when utilized incorrectly as well, just like anything. But I think that's all we got for trials.
We'll have a little break for our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Andor Financial.
Now, as some of you know, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, and our Melbourne Uni Renegades captain, Michael Cirillo, has recently started his own mortgage broking business.
Not only this, but Mike and Andor Financial have committed to supporting and sponsoring Net Talk for the indefinite future.
If you didn't know, Mike has spent the last 10 years in the finance industry in both financial planning and mortgage broking roles and is super passionate about empowering people to take control of their financial future.
So you or if anyone you know is in need of a home loan or would like to review their current lending situation, reach out to Mike and Andor Financial.
You can find out more information in the footnotes or description down below.
Thank you again to Andor Financial for sponsoring Net Talk.
Because then wabam, we're back. See?
No, we should have had both frappes in it.
You didn't get a frappe. Only I got a frappe.
Alex and I were joking that like we should just cut, and it's like a completely different scene. The window's open, like
we're outside.
We're outside. We got frappes like,
in a Hawaiian t-shirt.
Yeah,
because it's holiday time.
It is
because this is our next topic: holidays. Not really. Well,
true.
A bit. The off-season period.
Yes, and how athletes should treat the off-season. If you want to progress. If you don't really want to progress, well,
treat it poorly.
Treat it poorly. But
you talking about anyone in particular?
Mainly myself.
Yeah, and myself.
Yeah. Yeah, you ran I'm not going to say you ran a marathon.
I'm
not going to egg on that behavior.
I was there. My medal's here.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I was actually talking about that with some other people last night. I was like, did you watch the episode? And then Caddy was like, yeah, when Alex starts pulling out the medals, I was like, oh. I'm glad someone else actually found it funny though.
Good bit.
It was very funny. So off-season antics, like what's some general rules of thumb you reckon for off-season?
Find ways to be active in sport affiliated related environments.
Yeah.
Because you can do gym work and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Be physically active.
You can condition, strength condition and gyms and
but
stuff.
One of the first things that goes is everyone comes back and they're so rusty, or that's how like players describe it. Oh, I've lost my touch a bit. I just need to shake out a bit of passing. Some people it takes a couple of weeks to get that touch back.
Takes me a few months.
Still try and get volleyball touches somewhere. I've actually like noted like in Australia we're very lucky to have good beaches, good free available beach volleyball courts as well.
Except for Melbourne.
Except for when it rains.
Which is regularly.
Or when it now starts becoming too hot.
Yeah.
And still windy. But like you don't need to do the structured beach volleyball tournament rounds. We've actually had a lot of enjoyment with some more and more.
Just social pickup.
Just playing because we don't really have that indoor culture. I've heard from more of Americans that they do just have pick up indoor volleyball courts where you can just go and join in.
Funny you say that. I was invited to one this weekend.
Yeah.
From an American.
Yeah.
That is trialing.
It's more of a older, like a different indoor volleyball culture where they're like, yeah, come have a hit. I've got 10 mates. Yeah, you might get a bit more of a spectrum of skill, but you can still find ways yourself
just to touch the ball and to
get involved and maybe even enjoy the sport a little bit more in a different way.
Yeah, social volleyball is good. Well, like we talk about it regularly. Like we're two like high performance athletes in doing AVL and Premier One. Sometimes it can be nice to just, not that we don't play volleyball for fun, but when we play volleyball when it's a relaxing environment, it can be good in the off season.
Yeah, but it gets you into a different system, different environment.
Yeah,
but it calls new players, makes you more adaptable.
Yeah, but at the end of the day is that you are keeping your touch on the ball as much as possible. Playing beach is a good idea if you're into that. If you're not into it, don't do it because you'll just end up hating it, like me. But if you want to give it a go, genuinely, it's a good way, and it genuinely, I've said genuinely way too many times, but it improves your skills a lot. I played a lot of beach purely as a pass hitter, wanting to develop my pass, and I think it made me really mobile on the beach. So I think it's good for the off season. And in terms of talking about, and this is a topic that we'll get a guest on for eventually as well. I know we keep saying that, but like it's in the pipeline. Trust. Conditioning in conjunction with any sort of training, just as a quick tip. If you've got stuff on during the week, like beach volleyball or indoor volleyball, don't do plyometrics in your gym sessions. If you jump too much, that's when you start getting your knees in, especially in the off season. Like your load is so low, you don't want to be throwing it through the week, through the top of the spectrum in 1 week. So if you've got beach volleyball planned, if you're doing a social pickup session and you're doing gym at the same time, maybe like wean off the plyometrics if you're doing plyometrics in your gym session. Otherwise, keep it minimal. If you're doing we'll talk about eventually about in-season conditioning and how to manage your body like that. It's known to me, and it was something that I learned heavily when I went through some trauma with my knees. Don't be doing plyometrics because you're doing 200 to 500 jumps a night depending on the training. You don't need to be doing another 100 gym sessions.
I did it for myself for a university subject. I use myself as an example of like load management across a season and a year.
Yeah.
Because if you track volleyball, the easiest way to track your load is usually just jumps.
Yeah.
Like how many jumps did I do this week? How many jumps did I do next week? And it is at the end of the season, your jumps fall off a cliff. Oh, I have not trained for 3 weeks. If you come back and immediately go back to a 3 training session and you jump back to jumping 100 times a session, you just are up and then you're probably back down again and you're up and you're down.
And that's the easiest way to get injured.
Yeah, it is just really gradually increasing that load back up to maybe up, get it nice high, have a lot of growth in the off season, bring it back down, plateau it for the start of the season.
Yeah.
Sort of slowly increase it so you're peaking towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Again, or having slight medium peaks across the season, but nothing that is a drastic
spike.
150% change of your load from the week prior.
And from someone who learned that the hard way, even though I should have known better, coming back after COVID and then going straight into like 2 trainings a week. I wasn't max jumping. I was smart enough not to do that. Still managed to blow out both my knees.
I was young, so I could handle my terrible management.
I was not. But yeah, off-season conditional training, if you're going to do the gym, that is phenomenal. I'm really not doing well with words today. I'm doing worse than
Pity we're on a
usual.
podcast that we've postponed.
Yeah. Just get AI to voice me for me. I'll just pretend I'm talking. It's great that you're in the gym. Just be really, really mindful how much plyometric load you're putting on your knees, your hips, your back. Like it's known that beach volleyball can aggravate your lower back, just FYI. But yeah, if you've got beach volleyball planned for the week and you are doing your 3 gym sessions a week or 4 or 5, I don't know how many you're doing. Just be careful and really mindful of how much plyometric work you're doing. If you're not doing any sort of volleyball, but you are in the gym, then I would recommend doing plyometric stuff. I was told before your main workout, so do your warm up, then do your plyometrics, then do your squatting, benching, like deadlifting, cleans, jerks, whatever you want to do. And that worked really well for me. It may not be the case for some people, but that is the very, very quick, not very quick gym advice that I've got. But yeah, some other things to do in the off season.
A reason why we have this podcast.
Yeah.
To get a little bit more awareness around actually being involved in volleyball, the whole picture, the international picture mainly during the off season.
Yeah. Watch a lot of volleyball.
It is actually a underrated skill.
And I'll admit the last 3 years I've progressed more as a player from watching volleyball. Keeping your, like we've told you how to keep your body engaged, now keep your mind engaged.
It's something I want to improve on, watching scout view of games and whatnot, and finding ways to buy into watching. And fantasy is a way that I've tricked my brain into buying into watching more CEV specifically and stuff, and actually tracking players in their equivalent regular season.
Yeah.
Because then you see the full process, full picture.
Yeah. And then that's an entryway into stats. And then, you know, as we always talk about, stats isn't the whole picture, but it's a good chunk. And if you as a player start your understanding of stats, you can then start to use that to inform your decisions. Like myself, this was a really big growth year for me for like serving decisions. When do I rip a ball and when do I not rip a ball? And that's based on, you know, some serving statistics that I follow and I apply it to our team and stuff like that. But fantasy, it's the greatest way into stats.
It got a lot of people to buy in last year, I reckon.
I reckon it did.
Into watching more VNL than ever.
Yeah.
Like I probably had a couple years of watching VNL and doing that, and then I was like...
But this whole house was watching VNL, which is rare.
But it is still tough for people new to it to actually just jump into... Now, like, CVs happen for 3 weeks. And, like, if you miss the start, like... Jumping in feels like you're jumping into the middle of a TV show season because you don't know where these players are from. So it's hard to learn names and gauge stuff. So it is a hard thing to do.
I would really recommend, if you're going to start anywhere, start with the Italian Superlega, men and women, or whatever you're into. If you just want to watch the men, watch men. If you want to watch women. They have the best commentary and the most consistent commentary. So like if you, and like we've talked about it, watching high level volleyball with no commentary, I'd rather do anything else.
I was actually thinking in my head, I was like, I wonder what he'll say for where to start. And I was like, AVL? Start with watching some AVL, maybe the game Alex and Mitch commentated. And I was like, don't say that. Don't ever direct anyone there.
I was like, why are you looking at me like that?
AVL?
You're looking at me
AVL?
like...
Start with watching some Super League.
No. Not
Super Liga.
Nah.
Super League.
Nah, watch the Italian league. The commentary is quite good and informative. It's informative from a names point of view and a systems point of view, and it gives you a little bit of a brief history. Like the commentator at the moment, he's really good. He'll sometimes sort of say like, you know, she's played for these clubs and this is her history into the sport. And it's really informative to start to get to know the players and where their national teams, like what national teams they play for. I would recommend the Italian league. The Polish league is really, really high quality. The Italian league is as well, but Polish league overall is a bit more high quality. The Italian league is very heavy on the top end, and then it sort of drops off really fast. Problem with the Polish league is there is basically no commentary, and if there is, it's Polish, which may work for you.
If you speak Polish.
Doesn't work for me. Any other? Japanese league is also good, but again, there's not a lot of games that have commentary.
English commentary.
Yeah. So I would start there. Or, you know, if you're going to get a Volleyball World membership, probably look at last year's VNL.
Or something funny that like I speak to juniors about that like I've never really, I haven't done it for volleyball. But you have, I guess, I'm going to throw you under the bus with like Zach's a fanboy, like picking a team and really tracking them.
Yeah.
When I was trying to get into American sports and stuff, like watching NBA, I'm like, I don't even know who to pick to follow in the NBA. Volleyball, I find is even harder than that. I'm like, who do I follow and who do I pick? But then sort of the translation of that is pick individual players. Pick people that you like, find out what club they're going to.
And then pick that club.
Oh, you see TJ DeFalco's gone to the SV League? I guess I'm watching more of that.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke Perry's still at in the Plus League. Oh, watch that. Yeah. He'll still go there. Watch that. Watch more of that.
Yeah. Polish names. They're going to be the bane of my existence. Pick a player.
Yeah, he's at Water. That's what I call it.
Water. Yeah, that's like the sponsor or something. Oh no, that's the town. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, pick a player. You know, if you're a women's fan, you're probably going to pick one of two clubs because all the best players are at those two clubs in the world.
Well, they're all in Turkey, and you can't watch that.
Yeah, well, there's Canigliano,
yeah.
which is the Italian, and then there's Vakifbank, which is the Turkish club. Is it Vakifbank? I don't know. I can't watch the Turkish league. I know all my favorite women's players are
They're
there.
on TV though as well.
It's true. Can watch that.
The 2 Turkish teams are in there.
Yeah. Anything else for off season? That's probably it.
Let us know what you do.
Yeah.
If you do anything different or have something that keeps you preoccupied and still involved in the sport. Sometimes take a break, actually.
Breaks are good.
I had a pretty enjoyable year last year or the year before. I don't know, but like sometimes you can get a little burnt out
You can.
with volleyball.
Especially if you're playing and coaching and doing
So
all
it's not
this.
too bad to have a break from the sport. Do what everyone seems to do. Have a footy. Have
a footy season.
Have a footy season. Have a footy off season.
Yeah. And you know what? You might get a contract and you'll never come back.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be upset though.
Yeah.
But
And then you can come back when you're old or you do your knee in your first season.
surprisingly common, actually. Surprisingly common. Yeah. So today was a lot of trial stuff, a lot of off season because we're like, it's November. Like
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I think a lot of clubs will be preparing for trials. We're actually quite early on the mark this year. Something that we're trialing because we
Just to help prep the arguably very hard to pick. We probably didn't even talk about it. Lower divisions, I find it so much harder to pick teams for a lower division as well because there's so much variability in goal setting and roles and whatnot. So
yeah, that might be a whole another episode about like, because you're right. It's easier to pick premier teams because everyone's sort of there for high performance and you want to win. Lower division teams, it's a little bit more of that social fun aspect. And me personally, I hate picking teams like that. I just can't. Like, I guess because I'm high performance athlete.
because they still want to win as well because that's why you play a competitive sport is to still in the end win.
But the social and fun factor is like way higher.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, nah.
Which is why the club moved to trials earlier was just to
get the premier
more people
selections out of the
funneling
way.
down.
Yeah, it's another hole. But yeah, like that, this is trials. Hope you found this really informative. I hope this helps the trial experience, whether player, coach.
Hope you attend as many trials as possible.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it. Try different clubs. Like why not? Like just give
Bit
it
of
a
a
go.
taboo for weird reasons, but give it a try. I don't mind it. Like I like the idea of people going to see.
Yeah. See what everyone
you
has to
fit.
offer. Like, at the end of the day, the more people that play the sport, the better. Like if it's not for the club, like whatever. Just, but you should try Renegades.
Sponsor.
Yeah. Thanks for joining today. Yeah, you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Discord, Spotify, and all the podcast episodes.
Everywhere.
Literally everywhere. Links will be in the footnotes and description. Don't forget to check out our sponsor. More info can be in the description.
Thank you.